to celebrate, we wanted to do a little something. I'm stuck to the counter over here. We wanted to do something for Lunar New Year.
Yes.
So this is a traditional biscuit or cookie that is used for not just Lunar New Year, I learned, but a lot of holidays. But we're going to focus on it because we love walnuts. Almond cookies is another one you might see, but walnut cookies is one that I think really drew my attention. We love walnuts in the kitchen. Stephanie loves walnuts.
Yes.
And their powers, so we're making a walnut biscuit.
A biscuit, yeah, and it also, we wanted to, show that when your appetite's low, it's really important to eat regularly and in between meals. So having something like a biscuit or some sort of snack that's also high in protein, high in calories, could be beneficial for you to take if you're on the go or to kind of snack throughout the day.
Yes, absolutely. Has anyone made these walnut cookies before? Has anyone had these walnut cookies before? All right, so I'm making a different version of it, obviously. I'm sticking as close to the original recipe as possible, but we did change a couple of things, as we tend to do in our class. And I'll start with the wet ingredients, and the first thing we changed. So traditionally, from what I learned, this would be used making lard, because that's what was available. Then butter became more available, so most you see now made with butter. And we're actually going to change it out and use coconut oil instead.
Yeah. So many people ask, there's controversial information about coconut oil. Is it good for the heart, bad for the heart? And truthfully, there is a lot of information, and I'm stumped too, because when I read it, certain ones say that that coconut oil actually increases the healthy cholesterol, but sometimes it lowers the lousy cholesterol or it remains the same. So what I always say is really try and have moderation. So don't only necessarily use coconut oil in your baking or when you're preparing your foods. Try to switch it out and definitely use coconut oil sometimes, or olive oil, or any of the other types of plant-based oils. Mm-hmm.
For this one, I like using the coconut oil because it still has more of a solid form at room temperature.
Yeah, and the texture, and there's a flavor that's also contributing there.
So we're going to add a little bit of honey instead of our sugar. And one thing that I found works well if you are substituting a liquid-based sugar, like honey or maple syrup, for your traditional sugar, is with honey especially, because it does taste a little bit sweeter, you could reduce the amount. So for half a cup of sugar, you can use 1/3 of a cup of honey. And then the only adjustment you really need to make is remove about 2 tablespoons worth of any other liquid that's in that recipe. And that helps to sort of balance it out a little bit. Now, it doesn't work with every recipe, but I find with most cookies and stuff, you might get that. This will also brown a little bit faster in the oven too, because honey will caramelize a little bit faster than the sugar, so you want to keep that in mind as well. So we have our honey, we have our coconut oil, and we have our 1 egg whisked together. Those are our wet ingredients. This is pretty simple. Those are our wet ingredients. Our dry ingredients, we have 1 cup of ground walnuts. So you were talking about the ground cashews. Same thing. You can use your ground cashews. We want to use walnuts, so we're using ground walnuts, but you can almost use it as a flour in your baked goods.
And walnuts are really, again, so it's a nut, it's high in fat, but the healthy fats, and it actually has your omega-3s, and it has about 95% of the omega-3 that somebody needs in a day. So having a 1/4 cup of walnuts is actually providing them with the omega-3s that are healthy for heart health as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So,
and you're also adding in extra calories because of the higher fat content. So it's actually, in this case, when you want to make every bite count, it's better than having just kind of your regular flour, right?
Yeah.
So ground walnut is acting like a flour.
That walnut flavor too. So we have walnuts, about 1 cup. We have some flour, about 1 cup. You can use all-purpose. I'm using a spelt flour, just as a little bit more fiber in there, and a little bit of baking soda. That's just gonna help with the leavening of it. And just mix your dry together. So 3 ingredients with the dry. We have like 3 ingredients for the wet. And once it's combined, I have a little bit of just chopped walnuts as well for texture. So we're gonna add about half a cup-ish in there. Lots of walnuts.
Yeah.
We're not shy with the walnuts. Then dry goes into wet, as whoever was teaching you baking would say. And we're gonna mix it up just until it combines. It's gonna be a softer dough. And when it comes together, I find that, especially with the addition of the honey, it helps if you let this chill in the refrigerator for a little bit, even like 30 minutes or so. And they form a little bit better. And you can obviously adjust the sweetness. I tend to make things not as sweet as many people have told me in this class, so you can make it a little sweeter. This is more of like a biscuit style, so it's on the lighter end. But that's pretty much what you're looking for to combine, and then you can let that chill in the refrigerator for like 30 minutes. If you're in a rush, or if you're teaching a class, then you have to do that a lot sooner. You don't have time. So I will do it now. And I'm just gonna scoop it out onto a baking sheet lined with parchment. And you can use a spoon or handy little ice cream scoop. Yeah. And we're gonna scoop those out. And this makes about 16 cookies.
Yeah, and you can make them bigger or smaller depending on what you need them for. But there are other ways to stimulate appetite. So sometimes just going for a walk, like a light walk, brisk, could help stimulate for those who need to increase their appetite when they just don't have one. Obviously, talking to your doctor or your medical team is also something that is important because maybe it's an issue with side effects or taking a different type of medication.
I was trying to beat your behind. So again, just lay them out. Try to give yourself about an inch or more of space between. They don't flatten out too much. They actually stay pretty firm. They might flatten just a little bit. But because of all the walnuts, it gives you sort of a really nice, strong texture. So it's not going to melt on you.
Yeah. And I just, back to the walnuts, there are anti-inflammatory properties also because of the omega-3s. So, sprinkling more walnuts on top of them. It tends to be a nut that we don't consume all that often.
I'm just trying to get fancy here. So you can sprinkle some nuts, or as you can see, like sesame seeds, which are really nice on these as well. And you can flatten them a little bit if you like, or if you like them a little bit on the thicker side, you can just leave them like this. And then that goes into the oven, 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. 15 minutes is when I start checking them. If they're getting really dark, you take them out of 15. If you need a little extra, you can go to 20. Sound good? I have them ready. The top oven's my magic oven. Or a tangerine appeared out of nowhere as well.
It grew out of the oven.
Yes. So that's it. That's the walnut cookie. Really nice caramelization on the outside. Lots of walnuts nutrition, good walnutty nutrition in there. And then with the coconut oil as well, instead of butter and lard, we're still getting some good calories, right?
Yeah, you're getting healthy fats in there, which is what's important, and really kind of incorporating all those healthy fats into a good cookie.